The blue bar is moving, which it wasn't yesterday.
Well, hopefully that's a good thing.
The bar is moving, which it wasn't yesterday. Okay. So now because I've got us muted on the screen, we should be able to hear everything. So we're live.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I want to first of all welcome everybody for joining this very first live with a real client volunteer coaching call. It's the first time I've done an interview of this sort that's open for live comments. And been streaming it live on Facebook. So we've definitely started out with a couple technical difficulties, which is why we're a tad late. But I hope that you will join us. You can either participate by putting comments in the comments, questions that I'm going to be watching and answering while we're working together live. And give me 1 second because I'm going to post the link to the Zoom room right now in the comments if you want to jump in with us. Okay, so first, let me introduce myself. My name is Beth Create. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I'm also an intuitive clarity coach. And I so profoundly welcome to this room with me, a current client. Her name is KJ. And we had a session last week that left her with some questions about how to do the exercise that she was going to do after the session. And because this is something that I think so many clients struggle with, this particular assignment, that I thought it was a great opportunity to come on and work through this live with KJ so that you can get the benefit from her coaching also. So first of all, hi KJ.
Hey.
How are you today?
I'm great.
Good.
Glad to be here.
Good, thank you. Yeah, because of the technical difficulties, we haven't even had time to acknowledge one another's presence that we're sitting in the same Zoom room. If anybody is out there and actually watching this right now, if they would drop a note in the comments just to let me know that this is all working as it should, that would be amazing, and I'd be grateful for that. So the work we were doing last week is the very, very first step in being able to, thanks, Elisheva, I needed that. Thank you. Okay, everything's good, KJ. The work we were doing last week is the first fundamental step in learning who you are on your authentic soul-based level. And that's taking a personal inventory so that when I ask you, tell me about yourself, you're not telling me about yourself based on the roles you play, because that's what we usually do, right? Hey, so nice to meet you. Tell me a little about yourself. Well, I'm a mom, I'm a coach, I work for a law firm, I'm an athlete, and that really truly tells me very little about who you are as a human being. It tells me a lot about what you do, but it tells me very little about who you are as a human being. So what happens is we get detached from who we are as human beings because we are very busy filling these roles that we play. And we often adapt ourselves in order to fill these roles at our best, right? In order to do the best job filling these roles, we adapt ourselves to the role. Would you agree with that based on your experience, KJ?
Absolutely. I mean, that's who you are. That's who you become. And that's the way that you see it is I'm a mom. I'm a good mom.
Right.
Nobody says that. Nobody says, oh, I am a great mom. I'm so fun. It becomes who you are. I'm a secretary. Yeah, you definitely just take over that role. And that's all, that's the way you think of yourself.
Right. And in other roles like employer, or excuse me, employee, we morph ourselves so that we are pleasing our employer, right? Sometimes doing things that don't feel authentic to us, but we have no choice if we want to keep the job. And so we're really losing sight of who we are as a human being. So consequently, when I ask women this question in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they respond, I can't, I don't even know how to answer that. It's not surprising. It's not because you've done anything wrong. It's not because you turned left when you should have turned right. It's because you've been focused on being the best person, role filler you can be. And now, in order to fully embody your authenticity, I'm asking you to step back and create a personal inventory on what makes you you. And that's where some of your struggles came in, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I just want to say for people watching, we haven't discussed this at all. We talked briefly yesterday about what we would talk about, and I reserved all of my help for today. I kind of left her hanging. So yeah. So I apologize, but I really wanted it to be like fresh and in the moment. So will you explain to everybody else what you explained to me yesterday about how this is a struggle for you?
Well, because when we originally had our first 30-minute call, and you started asking me who I was, that's what I said. I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, and this and that. And you're like, no, wait, that's not who you are. That's what you are. And so as you started pulling things out of me that, I'm creative, I'm kind, I'm loving, I'm like, oh, that's what you want. Okay. So I gave you 5. Then you wanted 25 more. Okay, well, it's only taken me a week or 2 to do that because of, it's really hard to think about who I am because I've been a mom and a grandma and, an employee and running my own business for so long that I don't know who I am. I'm a wife. I'm a dog mom. I'm a cat mom. I don't know who I am. And as I was, this would literally keep me awake, thinking about, okay, just think of one. And I put them down on my phone. And, once I had 7 or 8, I wrote them all down. So I've got my probably 30. And then I start looking at them and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not me anymore. That was me when I was raising my boys by myself. That's when I was happy. That's not me now. Okay, that's who I want to be again. I want to be that person I was back then. And it was really hard for me to pull out the ones that were me now. So I started going through and just kind of checking off the ones that I had written down who are authentically me. Like I am thoughtful, I'm sensitive, I'm spontaneous. Those are me. Those have always been me. But there's so many on here that are not me anymore. But that's who I want to be again. And so it's very hard because I can't give you 25 of me that I can think of right now because I don't know. Because I've done so many other things that, yeah, I haven't put in perspective as to who I am, not what I am. And it's hard to pull those things out. As I was amazed how you were pulling them out of me. And I'm like, not even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
But it just died. Once I started thinking about it and looking at all my words, going, that's not me. That was me. That's who I want to be again.
Mm-hmm.
That one's not me. That's not me. Oh, well, this is me. And so it gets very eye-opening, if you would. Very enlightening when I look at it. It's actually kind of sad when I looked at it,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, damn, those were good. I was those things, and I want to be those again.
I wish now that we had talked about this days ago when you realized it, because I definitely don't want you to be sad about this. And you bring up really good points, but let me give you a different perspective on this, okay? Who we are at our like most human being level, those are part of our soul essence. What we do, that's our human essence. Okay. So when you came up with this list, I do believe that when you came up with 25, those were who you are in your soul. Okay. Things come up in our human essence, right? What you're saying right now is you're finding yourself in a situation that doesn't have room for all of those soul qualities that you listed because of circumstances within your situation. Some of those soul qualities have been muffled. Okay. I mean, can you like get on board with the idea of them being kind of buried under various
Panic.
Yeah, but they're still there. They're still there. They're just kind of covered with the shadow that's coming with certain circumstances in your life. They're shadowed, but they're there, right? So those are still fundamentally who you are. It's not, oh, I was that then, and I want to be that someday. But right now, I'm not any of those things. It's that is who I am. That's how I just would have described myself then, my authentic self then. And that's how I will be able, those traits will be clearer, more clearly seen by myself and others soon. But right now, I feel like a lot of them are being hidden in a shadow.
Okay.
By my experiences. It doesn't mean that you're not those things anymore. It just means that we have to alchemize the shadow, right? We have to do the work to dissipate the shadow so that all of those wonderful authentic traits that are who you are on a soul level are now being experienced at your human level.
That makes sense.
Okay. If anybody has any questions about this, please throw them in the comments. Do you have any questions about it, KJ?
No, I mean, that made sense.
if this had been put forth to you in this way at the beginning, when you started saying, well, I was that, but I'm not anymore, and that crushes my soul a little bit. If I had explained it to you that way then, because I wasn't aware of what you were going through, but if I had explained it to you then, would you have seen that instead of being somewhat crushing, uplifting, that all those wonderful traits really are yours? They're there. They're intricately a part of who you are.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because yeah, looking at it the way that I was looking at it was it was sad because I felt like I lost myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I have.
It's not gone. It's hidden.
It's hidden.
Right. But the joy and the hope that this hopefully instills in you, that those are all your fundamental qualities. And we're just going to be like, I was watching a show last night with with archeologists as they're brushing away the dirt, like from a masterpiece that was hidden 20 feet underground, and they carefully are brushing it all the way to reveal the beauty of this ancient relic. Yeah. Not that you're an ancient relic, but it's just.
I'll take that.
But that's what we're going to be doing, right? We're going to be brushing away like the shadowy dust and everything that's been covering it. And that dust has come from the circumstances that has been your life lately. So in a sense, you have lost them, but they've never not been there.
Okay.
So what I heard, though, is that you came up with 25 more.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you came up with, are they all positive traits?
Most of them. After I started thinking of it the way that I was, then I came up with a few more, and they're not so positive.
That's okay. We all have those. I mean, truly. I think if anybody's being honest, we all have those.
Right.
So there's some that we perceive as negative, and that might be that we truly need to work on them. And that's one list, right? We'll move those to another list.
Right.
And then there are some that we perceive as negative that are perceived that way because we're female. And if a man said that, throw me one of those off your list, if you don't mind. Find one of those, and we'll talk about that briefly.
Weak. I have strong on there, but at the same time, now I feel weak.
Okay. And that's because you feel powerless?
Yes.
Okay. So that is, and some of the reasons you feel powerless are, I'm not asking you to divulge too much on a very public forum.
Just just like trying to find a job. I guess I'm being picky. I could take any job. God knows there's jobs out there, but I want a job that I don't want to work at a gas station where I'm going to get held up.
Mm-hmm.
I want, I want a specific kind of job that's going to make me happy doing customer service or, something like that. And those aren't easy to find, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm. So how does that fit into weak?
So because I feel like I'm not helping out monetarily with the finances. And I've never felt that way. I don't know why I am now, because I've never really had to work. I've always wanted to work.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in a position where I need to work.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel powerless that I'm not able to find the job that I want, or I'm not able to spend the money I want to be able to spend on my grandkids for Christmas and birthdays. And, my kids' birthdays are all the same week of December. I have like 8 birthdays in that week of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not going to exist because I'm not working. So it just makes me really feel powerless, that I can't do the things I used to do on my own. I can't even do with my husband's help now.
So
that just makes me feel weak because I'm not finding that job, or I feel weak that I'm saying, well, I'm not going to take that job. Like, I'm too good for it. I'm not too good for it, but I don't want to go to a job that I'm going to come home and yell at my dogs or yell at my husband or not be able to see my grandson because I hate my job and I, dread coming and going every day to a place that I can't stand.
mm-hmm. So this is going to be more in depth than we have time to go into right now in this live. However, I want to throw a language tweak in here for you because, I believe words have so much power because our words put out energy, and the energy we put out is the energy we get back. So if we're using words that are putting out negative energy, that's what's reflected back to us. So we have to be careful. And I hear what you're saying is you feel like there is an inequality in your relationship right now because of finances, and you're feeling powerless because of that inequality. But as I'm hearing you say this, I don't think that being short of that power that comes with confidence, that power that comes with earning, that power that comes with just feeling good about where you are today in your life equates with weak.
Okay.
How does that resonate with you? Just give that one thought.
I don't know. I mean, it makes sense, but I've always been so strong and independent and raised my kids and supported my kids 15 years. And so to me, this is weak.
So I would perhaps not resist you if you weren't aware of what's going on, if you weren't working on it, actively working on it, working with me, looking at jobs, reframing things, changing your mindset so that you can go out there and attract the job you want that will be both well providing and have some joy in it for you.
Right.
Where you feel like, right, you're in that place right now of exploration when it comes to finding the job for you, because you have a skill set and you had a career, but it's in something that you can't turn around and do again. So it's like you're in a brand new pool, and right now you're taking swimming lessons, right? Because it's a pool you don't know about. So you're taking swimming lessons. And that is a strength that you're not just like sitting at home and having pity parties. You are putting action steps in place, and you are working to change your situation, actively working to change your situation. And that takes a strength that you're not giving yourself any credit for.
You're right. I'm not, because I'm not.
Okay.
I guess I just see the negative of, but I still don't have that job. So to me, it, I don't see the positives. I just see the negative.
So now we're stuck in this infinity loop, right? That never ends, because if you're not seeing your positives, then how are you seeing the jobs that speak to those positives? How are you going out and interviewing in a way that makes you an attractive candidate for them to hire, right? So that's why everything has to start with your personal inventory and knowing who you are and finding the traits that you acknowledge these need work, and we're going to work on them, and finding the traits that can be reframed that you think need work on, but if they were reframed outside of the patriarchal society we're in, they wouldn't be seen as a negative, they'd be seen as a positive. So the one you gave me, like, this was an important one, and I think it came up for you because it's the one that's most in front of you. But to address one like that is from the patriarchy, that would be, and I'm just going to give a more obvious one that's used more commonly just to get the point across. That would be if you came and you said, I can be really bossy. Okay. And then we would pick that apart a little bit to see what does that look like when you're bossy? What are you speaking? What are your words? What is your tone? What is your reason for doing so? And if you were doing all of it, but you had different genitalia, would it be accepted? Would it be a negative, or would you be called a great leader? Right? Because so many of the things that we women have on our this is my problem list would be not at all be seen as problems if we weren't women, if we were male in the workforce.
Right.
So that's why I say once we have this inventory, we're going to split them into these 3 lists. The ones that are great, but, well, for you, 4 lists maybe. These are all the ones that are wonderful and they're here. These are all the ones that are wonderful and I know they're there, but I don't see them right now because of what's going on in my life. Here are the ones that really need to be viewed from, would this stand if this was a matriarchal society instead of a patriarchal society? And then what's left are the ones that, yes, these we're going to work on together.
Okay.
And I know that this job thing is your biggest, that's my microphone. I know that your job is your biggest, most in front concern right now. And that's what we'll work on in the coming sessions together, one-on-one, and perhaps here in group. In the live. But everything comes down to this foundation of knowing who you are as your authentic self. Because you can't embrace and fully embody your authenticity without this information.
Right.
Okay. Step 1. That's step 1 that can definitely take more than one 30-minute live, right? Or one 30-minute free clarity call.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll keep working on that. So go ahead.
Kept me up. It, you know, it kept me up many nights.
Yeah,
and it's like, I just, but I
you're
got
in
it.
your own way. So I'll leave you with this. I think whenever we have something really just burdening us like that, we have to ask ourselves, am I getting in my own way here? Because you were getting in your own way. If you would have described yourself as that once upon a time, you're still that. Like, but, and this will happen a lot in all of our lives, where we'll sometimes get to a place where we're like, what happened to that piece of me? Oh, it's really gotten dimmed by a health issue, a family issue, a financial issue, but it's just dimmed. It's still there. I just have to figure out how to pull it back into the light.
Right.
And we get in our own way when we don't ask ourselves that question. When we don't ask ourselves, am I getting in my own way?
It was like, once I started thinking about it, I really wanted to know, who am I? So then it was just like, yeah, I was in my own way because I was trying so hard to figure out who I am. And it's like, I don't know. I really don't know anymore. But as I'm writing some of these down, or they would come to me as, I'm trying to sleep. And so I'd type it into my phone, and I'd wake up the next morning and look at it and go, wow, okay. Yeah. But
Yeah, I am that.
Yeah. I so desperately wanted to know that it just, yeah, it was just burning in my brain. And I would think and think and think, and it didn't work. Most of these I got as I was laying there getting ready to go to sleep. I wrote 9 of them one night.
Yeah. The best times for us to get that kind of clarity are either while we're trying to go to sleep, in the morning before we're like up and out of bed, and in the shower, our bath, because water is super conductive and that state of relaxation is really conductive. So it makes sense that that's when you're getting clarity. Like if you're trying to figure out a problem, get in the shower and like this light bulb goes on. You get such clarity with water. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Perhaps this exercise was, let me say that differently. Because this exercise was so difficult for you, I would venture to say that now that you've realized these things that are your soul essence, they're going to have a much bigger impact on your state of being.
I think so. I mean, because now I'm so excited to pull them back out, to find them, to dust them off. Like, I am really excited now that we've talked and you've explained this. I want to dust them off and bring them back, and put this light back in my life and on my face. I want to sparkle again. And
that's one of my declarations, I will sparkle. Yep.
And I know that I will.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt. No doubt. Okay, well, we're going to continue working on the job thing, and we'll continue working on the qualities that you want to dust off. Okay. down the road. So I'd like to put out an invitation. If anybody watching this would like to come on and go live with me on a future live coaching Facebook event, let me know. I'd love to have you. We can work through whatever is at the top of your list. I'm going to be coming on here every Tuesday at 4:00 Central Daylight Time now. And also, now that you're getting a pretty good taste of what coaching with me is like, if you feel like you would like to set up a free coaching call, I am going to put the link in the comments here. And since this is my first time doing this live, I'm quite certain I'm forgetting things I would like to tell you directly, but I will either post it in the comments or add it next time. That's what happens when we work without a script. Probably leaving something good out, but I have really enjoyed doing this so much with you, KJ.
Thank you.
Thank you for
helpful.
I'm glad. I'm so glad. And you're not as sad, more hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will, if you hang on, I'm going to turn off the live, but you and I will keep talking for a minute. And to all of the rest of you, thank you so much for being here. Book your call, hop in next time with comments or questions, or DM me if you have any questions for yourself. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks.
Bye.